We're live.
We are live for our last podcast of the year.
This is episode 12. We're going to be going over, what did we name this? Year-end review?
Year-end review. I think that sounds good. 2022. We've done a lot this year.
We posted a lot of videos.
DoubleCommaDreams. Yeah. You posted a lot of videos, which we'll talk about.
I posted a lot of clips.
You did, yes.
You can see the growth of the channel as well with it.
Yeah, the channel's been doing really well. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, but it's been a little difficult seeing the growth of the channel and realizing we still have other priorities outside of the channel.
Yeah, so, this is definitely more of a side thing.
This will be a good conversation to talk about, like, hey, like, we are excited about the growth and we want to put more into it, but it's not at the point where it's like, this is our focus. So,
yeah, so it's actually crazy. This last week, we actually, we stopped posting. We weren't able, Nico has an illness of which we can't say the word on this episode, or, like, I think YouTube, like, hushes it down.
Really?
Yeah,
you can't say it?
I've heard some big name creators say if you put the word in there, it affects views.
I have gotten the thing that shut the whole world down for the last 2 years. It is rough. I do not recommend it on anybody. Heck of a time. Still got a cough, but
you're on the tail end of it now, right?
Yeah. Tomorrow's my last day in isolation, so I don't have to wear a mask after, which I probably still will if I'm coughing, but I don't have to.
But yeah, that's why we didn't have, because we actually planned this next episode to be about relationships and boundaries and stuff like that. But we're going to postpone that email because it is the end of the year. So we'd rather do the end of the year now and then postpone that one.
Yeah. And if the audio sounds a little bit better, I did pick up a microphone. So
making those small upgrades.
Small upgrades for you guys.
We're not even monetized yet. Look at this.
We're close.
871 watch hours.
We are very close, though. I mean, very close.
And this was like half the month we didn't post at all. So can't complain.
Yeah, and I'm excited. We have our monthly reports coming here soon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're actually going to a football game that day, so it's going to have to be the next day.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying so hard. I was like, what if I do my monthly report the day before the month ends? And I was like, no, that's not going to work because then numbers aren't going to be completely updated to Zoic and stuff. So it'll have to be the second.
Oh, yeah. It'll be okay. I don't think anybody will fully be upset about that.
Yeah. So what's the first thing you want to talk about in this episode? Wins, losses, goals? For 2023?
Let's talk about some wins. What were some wins on this channel?
I think the shorts were some wins. They definitely weren't a great win, but we started posting them, and they definitely led to more views on DoubleCommaDreams YouTube channel.
Yeah, another win I think was realizing expectations in the channel. Like, we came into the channel like really like let's do as much as we can to get it monetized, and while that is a fun priority and like making money from it is something that we want to do. Like, I think a win on my side was like, hey, like, I realized the value of having a main project and then having a project to the side that you're just like adding in a little bit instead of like having two main projects.
Yeah, kind of when we started this, I was like, it'd be really cool to get monetized. And then I think it was like by the third episode or something, I was like, it would be cool if this was monetized, but I just like hopping on and talking to you.
Yeah, I think we realized the purpose of the channel.
Because there for a while, we wanted it, like, it seemed like we were going to make it our main thing. And now we're like, it's definitely a side thing. We're going to grow this other stuff first. I think that's worked out a lot better.
Yeah, I think that's been really good. And also, one of our wins is communicating that with each other so that there wasn't two sides of expectations. Like, I'm trying to get this monetized and the other person's like, well, I'm really just here to talk with you each week.
That's also like with all those clips and stuff that I did and dedicated videos, like case studies. It's been like, we kind of had a conversation where I was like, if this gets monetized, that's great. If not, like, I'm not worried about it. And you were like, I'm working on another project. So it's the communication for that. I think we've done really well this year.
Yeah. And there's not expectations of like, I could be like, this is my week. Like, I just am feeling a ton of videos and motivated to posting, or like, it's your week, you're feeling a ton of motivation, like videos. Like, that is what it is. Like it can't be that. So like this is just a platform for us to share what we're thinking. Like that's what we've created it for.
Yeah,
Like if
there's
there's
not.
a week we're wanting to teach and we're wanting to be like, yeah, look at this, like it is there and we have that opportunity.
Yeah, it's a lot more flexible and the stakes aren't as high, I think.
Yeah, so I'm very excited. Some losses though, we haven't really taken any losses.
I will say maybe some of the lost. I will say the beginning of December, I set out to post a bunch of YouTube videos on this channel, like shorts, dedicated videos, tutorials, and stuff like that. And I did not reach that goal. That's a loss. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's a loss on my fault for like saying I'm gonna do a whole bunch on this.
Then I have a loss too because I said that each video was gonna have timestamps and 5 shorts each week. So yeah, that's a loss on my side as well. I understand that one.
But that's just setting a goal thing. Like I'm gonna adjust it next month. It'll be better.
Yeah, a win has been understanding our goals. It's like because sometimes I feel I struggle with this personally. It's like I'm like goal, and I'm gonna talk about this in my income report because this or my traffic report, almost income, because it's been a big transition period for me. It's like understanding what you're actually capable of. Like that's been a win for me with this is I've set goals that I'm like I can't actually do that, and once you fail on those goals enough, you're like this is actually achievable. This is actually attainable. Like, how can I make it just a little bit higher to push myself?
Yeah, it's like if someone's just starting to do push-ups, it's like they might want to do 500 push-ups in a row, but they might only be able to do 30. And so if they set a goal at 50, by the end of the week, maybe they can do 50 push-ups in a row. Kind of like that. Is that a good analogy?
Yeah, basically. Like you fail at your goal enough that you're like, oh, I actually know the limit now.
And so you set a goal that still motivates you to keep going.
Yeah, which is very motivating when you're actually, oh, I hit my goal. And I've had to try to find motivation for the goals behind this channel because there's been such a mindset shift sometimes in the last month or so. It's like, oh, we're making this main income. We're going to try to grow it a ton. Oh, this is just a side project that we're just talking as friends. It's like trying to learn motivations, like what's actually motivating you for that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, is that motivation sustainable? Is that motivation warranted? Because you actually have other projects that are really taking up your thought process and minds. Like, are you really giving both things a fair chance? Are you not?
Yeah, what's your thoughts with DoubleCommaDreams? Is that something you want to double down on in 2023? Something you want to kind of be relaxed with?
Me personally, I wouldn't. What?
I put you on the spot.
I know. Me personally, I would enjoy the weekly videos up until probably July, because at that point I will know, hey, this project that I'm very focused on right now, it's either a make, break, or it's just going to be where it's at. And then at that point, I can be like, okay, this is what I've learned from this process. Let me toss this into a ton of videos and see where we can get this a little bit further. But I think where we're at on the friendship talks and how we talk about blogs together and other things outside of life, I think that's a very good format. And at this point, I think it will be doing a disservice a little bit to our viewers or people who listen to us, because this is what they've subscribed to, is like, hey, like we love listening to these guys, or we enjoy listening to these guys. And I've noticed on a couple podcasts in the past, it felt kind of forced when we had a motive behind it. And what I mean by motive is like we want this video to succeed, so we're going to make sure it has all these different elements. Like some of those felt a little forced. Like what I loved about this channel, and of course the channel will grow and it will become something new over time, and like we'll learn those things and like they'll start becoming a part of it. But like the reason we started this was because we really enjoy talking to each other and we really enjoy talking about our projects. Like I
see what you mean.
I feel like we move very quickly in a short amount of time from what we were trying to actually accomplish.
Like I think there was like 2 or 3 episodes in a row where it was like we made the content for someone else to listen to and not for us to just ramble about. Is that what you mean?
Basically, yeah.
I feel that. I understand that.
When you could have a structured rambling, like we've gotten better about that. Like,
yeah, it's been that's actually something with like this episode I think will do really well because we've got like we want to talk about these things, but we haven't like outlined them exactly. It's just like these are some wins, these are some losses, here's some other things we want to talk about. I think that works really well.
Yeah, and um, that kind of segued it out. But yeah, the goal is to keep what we're doing. And if in 6 months from now, half the way of the year, we're like, okay, this is something that we actually want to do, like this is something we want to double down on, then we both can come to that conclusion and be like, yes. Because I think the time will feel right for us. And right now, the time doesn't feel right for me.
And I've got so many other things going on. Like I said, I wanted to make all these videos for the channel this month, but I just didn't get to them. Like there's other things that were higher priority. So I'm completely with you on that.
Do
Are
you
you
feel I feel a service to you in not letting you pursue this 100% because I know you have so many projects going on.
I
Like
see.
I don't want to fully commit because I know you have so many projects that I know you struggle with. Sometimes you've mentioned to me
Uh-huh.
about having so many projects
Yeah.
that I'm like, let's just keep this on the outside a little bit because I know it'll be more benefit for you to focus on those other things.
Yeah, so are you good with like moving forward if we just do monthly incomes, which by the way, we can talk about that in a minute, and then also like weekly episodes of just us rambling, maybe having some central topics, but go back to like just us rambling about things we're learning in SEO and our
Yeah,
businesses and stuff.
yeah, and like I said, like we can still teach stuff or like communicate lessons we're learning. I just it, it's good to have a schedule. Like I will say that, but I don't think we need a schedule with this. Our only schedule we might need is like the once a month income reports and then the weekly podcasts.
I
The
agree.
other else is just icing on the cake, as Theodore says
Yes.
it.
Oh, back to the income reports. What have you found? So I'll speak on my income reports. By setting up, it took me like 2 to 3 hours to set up those income reports and slides and look through my own numbers and stuff. By me having to set that up to make the video, I've learned a lot about like just in the past couple months. I think I've been doing them September, October, November, and then I'll do December will be my fourth one, and I've got some of it set up already. Just by me doing that, I'm able to look better into where money's coming in, where money's going out, and I really like setting up my own goals publicly and then looking back to them to see if I like that really helps me. Are you benefiting personally from your income reports? Because I know a lot of people watch them and like, oh, this is cool. Like it's cool that he's being transparent and sharing this stuff, but from myself, like I benefit from doing my own income reports. Do you get that as well?
I've noticed with I call them traffic reports because I don't make any cash right now.
Yeah,
Um, I've noticed with mine, what has helped me grow is being consistent in sharing the progress and then also seeing the goals that I did or did not hit and like being like, oh, I set a big goal, but I didn't hit that. And like I I struggle with and I'm working to work on the struggle or figure out a work around it or why I struggle with it. I maybe I shouldn't say struggle. I tend to struggle with not actually having motivation behind my goals. So say I have my income report and I say, hey, I'm going to make 30 posts this month. And I'm like, that number sounds crazy. And I'm like on my income report saying all this. But it's like, I almost don't care if I do 30. Like, that's something I've been struggling with that the income reports has been helping is like trying to find that care behind my goals. Because like you can have goals and you can hit them, but like I struggle with that internal motivation for the goals of like why is this actually important? Like, and I think the income reports has helped that and like understanding a little bit, which I can't actually verbalize how it's helped. I need to dig more into it.
no, that's good though. So yeah, so it's like, do you feel like are you motivated more by push or pull? Like, I'm definitely motivated a lot by push. So like, like now that I've got to buy in health insurance and we're moving to the city, so we've got rent and my wife is going back to college. So she's not got a full-time job. And that pushes me to be like, I got to make sure that our family's good financially. And so that really pushes me to make things to where pulling like I mentioned the GT350, I'm not as motivated as getting a GT350 as I am in making sure that my like family is good and that we can afford rent and stuff like that. So in your perspective, are you more motivated by push or pull from like just how you feel?
I I would I'll give you an example of me being motivated in something, and you can dive deeper into if you believe that is push or pull.
All right.
So like I and maybe it's because I haven't hit an income. Actually, that's not a lie. I've hit an income for something before. It's like the one YouTube channel I have pays me every month, but for some reason that doesn't that doesn't do anything to me to like see that number hit my bank account. Like what does do something for me is being like, I I did that this month. Like I did those 30 posts, or I did those 15, or I created those 7 videos. And looking back and seeing that I did those, like that's what motivates me.
It's like seeing personal growth.
Yeah. And it's really difficult because like I wish I could be motivated by numbers, but like
Hmm.
I even look at like when you look at your analytics, are you motivated by the numbers you see, or are you motivated by the work you did on the site? Because I'm motivated by the work I did on the site. The
Yeah, you like
numbers
you look at a
I
finished product and you're like, that's nice.
yeah, like I feel like a psycho when I look at my analytics
Checking
because
them
I'm
all the
like,
time.
well, I checked them, but like they don't feel like they mean anything. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like it's just it feels like a value on a page I'm looking at. But like when I look at the site and I see the functionality and I see the words and I see a video and I see images and I see how these people go through this, I'm like, that motivates me. That feels good.
Yeah, you're definitely more of a visionary, I think. I don't know if that's the right term or not, but
So that's
I think
what's been
that's
a
why we
little
work well together.
yeah, you're opposite spectrum. You're like, this page will work. And I'm
I'm like,
like,
what
what
if we
about the
change this
people?
from blue to red? What about what if we
You
change it
remember
from blue
that?
to red? 20% more people will click.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. That's insight of self-awareness.
So that's been something about the income reports I've noticed is like sometimes the values. I've been trying to build the income traffic reports to a way that shows my motivations more than people just wanting to look at graphs. And they're like, wow, he did 70 clicks that day. Like it feels so weird that that doesn't impact me.
That makes sense. Yeah, so you're almost like you could just wish that you could just show your website and be like, "Look how beautiful I made this heading." Like, doesn't
Yeah,
this look so nice?
look how functional this is. Like, look at all these things on this article that helps this person.
This snippet was so beautifully worded. Like, it's definitely gonna help someone. That
Yeah,
that motivates you.
yeah, that motivates me.
Yeah, that's interesting because that's hard to put into numbers and like quantifiable stuff.
Yeah, so it's I've been really having to learn how to merge those two things so that there's actually actionable steps I can take.
That makes sense. What oh, moving on to another topic, unless you want to talk about this one a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, I want to talk about Twitter a little bit. So we were going to talk about like what our purpose is with Twitter. But this is actually a win of the channel is that I started a Twitter account and you started one too. And we just started talking about and sharing our experiments and stuff like that. And I've gathered up, I think like 600 some followers, which isn't much, but it has led to people actually like checking out YouTube videos that I share and subscribing to the channel and stuff. So that's why I called it a win. But even more importantly, I've been able to see stuff on my Twitter feed that is like more helpful than things that I've purchased in courses that cost $300, $500. And just sharing like up to date stuff that was like just now, like, here's how I got Chat GPT to write a snippet for me that isn't detectable from AI, like AI detector and stuff like that. Is like you could pay for it in a course, but like on the Twitter feed, it's like you get it up to date and like really, like it's been really helpful to me. And the AI stuff is just one example. Like there's been a lot of other things I've learned. And then the other side of that is like in the DMs. Like I've DM'd a lot of people on Twitter and I'm starting to build some of those relationships. And it's been really cool to see like in the 3 months that I've been on Twitter, how some of those relationships are starting to be like produce benefits for both of us. So what's your thoughts on Twitter? Is that something you're going to focus on in 2023? And
I still struggle to see the value of Twitter in my current where I'm at right now.
Mhm.
So like your current spot seems like relationships, you have some knowledge to share. Like I'm in the season of life of just I need an
Learning,
article a day, I need this video put out, like in the building phase, if that makes
that's a
sense.
good point. because the way that I've grown on Twitter is like sharing my wins of like stuff that other people couldn't easily replicate. So they're like, "Oh, he did a 301 redirect where he took like 5 domains and pointed them here," and I shared that, and that was the post that I think it did like, um, I think it reached a whole bunch of people, and I got a bunch of new followers from it. But it's like not everyone can like make a post like that because they can't. You got to buy 5 websites and merge them. And so I've also noticed on Twitter, Twitter threads were a really big thing. I think they're slowly starting to die out, but when I just got started a couple months ago, it's like Twitter threads were what grew your. It's like you had to put a lot of work into writing out these threads, and then sometimes you'd write one and it just wouldn't do well. I was a little discouraged by that when I tried it a couple times, but sharing the SEO experiments that I've been doing recently, where it's like this is what I tried, this is what worked, that seems to work really well right now on Twitter, at least for my account.
Yeah, and I don't have that value to share because I'm like, hopefully this works. Like, I'm not really testing a lot of different things. I'm just like, this is the system that works. I'm replicating it over 1,000 things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I have 13 followers, so I'm kicking some ass. I've posted 3 things, and there was 3 let me see if I can bring them up.
I remember
sorry,
another really big benefit I get out of Twitter is sometimes there'll be an issue. So like maybe Mediavine will go down for like 6 hours. I can get on Twitter and be like, oh, these 20 other people are like, yo, Mediavine's down. Or another example is like you mentioned that during the like holidays, your site traffic just really went down. And
oh, did it?
You ended up, I think you found it on Twitter. You were like, a bunch of other people say like on the day of Christmas and the day after Christmas, people just aren't searching as much. And so that you can expect the traffic to go down. So
yeah. So
let me see if I can make that bigger. There we go.
So I've posted 4 things. And in these 4 things, I realized that Twitter doesn't mean much to me at this moment. Mm-hmm. Or it doesn't mean much, or I haven't defined my outcome I want from Twitter.
That's a good sentence.
Because I've posted this one, the biggest change I've seen in my blog, blah, blah, blah. Like, that was more... It seems everything I've posted on Twitter is to get a reaction for myself at this point. Like, I haven't seen my stuff help enough people on Twitter to understand my posting to be beneficial.
That makes sense.
It feels superficial right now.
Yeah, I remember when I first hopped on Twitter too.
Is it superficial, or is that the word I'm looking for?
I think so. And we talked about this too. We were reading a bunch of tweets that we both just hopped on, and I was like, we were both like, a lot of these things sound like the people are just bragging about what they did. Like they're bragging about how much money they made with the income reports and how they fixed this, like reverse this update thing or whatever. Do you remember that conversation?
Mm-hmm. Like it feels, I might get some flack for this, but if you know that there's always that something, if the guy was teaching, he would actually still be doing. Like, or no, if he was teaching, then he's not fully doing, but if he's fully doing, then he won't be teaching. Like, in a sense, and like I said, I'm trying to figure out how that quote exactly went. I don't want to butcher it. It's like if you're a full-time race car driver, you're not going to be teaching people how to race.
Yeah.
Or if you're in the trenches building $10 million, you're not going to be like, here's how to be a millionaire. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like building in public. That makes sense.
And not in, so like, let's take Alex Hormozy, for example. He's very good at I just want to give this little bit of knowledge. Here's a little bit of my time. Instead of, here's a full course, take my 60-day course, try these 10 steps.
Yeah, sign up to the lead magnet below.
And I feel like that's how we've built this, is like, we're in the trenches, we're doing blog stuff. We're teaching. Like, we're not teaching, but we're giving like, oh, this is what we're going through. This is some little bits of helpful knowledge. Like, we don't have anything to sell you. We're just trying to help you.
Yeah.
And that was a tangent. So so like, I don't feel like I have that purpose on Twitter at the moment.
That makes sense. From being a user and not a producer on Twitter, have you found any tweets to be helpful? Like, do you get a positive ROI when you get on Twitter? There for a while, mine was negative too.
I have been working on re-vetting who I'm following to like actually be like, this guy's providing helpful tips. And it's also, I struggle with the belief that everyone has bad intentions when they're publishing things around themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So like I see someone tweet and I'm like, that guy is just really trying to get attention right now. And like I need to shift my focus to not thinking that and being like, this guy's trying to help, or he might have bad motives. I don't know. But that's something I struggle with like Twitter and some social media sites, is knowing that I think the reason I trust Alex a lot is because I understand, well, the perception he puts off is he just wants to help.
Mm-hmm. He's got
Like,
nothing to sell.
yeah,
That's what he says.
I haven't looked deep enough into people on Twitter to fully like trust them in a sense.
Yeah, speaking of that, I was having a conversation in DMs with a guy. I'm assuming it's a guy. I probably shouldn't assume. But they said they followed someone and they said that they found their website. Like they found it using, I think it was Niche Site Metrics or Niche Finder. And I was like, that's super cool. I would love to also find that person's website using this tool. So I used the tool and I tried to find it. And I was like, I started asking them questions like, don't tell me the website. I want to find it for myself. But is this it? And they said no. And then we got into a conversation about this person's actual website. And they have a following on Twitter, and that 6 months ago they were like, there's no link building, we don't do link building. And then we noticed that they sent out an email, which we are both on the list, and they were like, I tried a link building service, it's great, here's the affiliate link. And I was like, now I don't know if they're doing that because it's actually great, or if it's because the affiliate service pays them to do that. And so you are right. There's definitely like, you got to think a little bit about what's their incentive for sharing this. Is it to get a like and a retweet? Is it to get you to buy something of theirs? And I think that is something that made me a little skeptical when I first hopped on Twitter as well.
And I think something that I hope that when people see our channel and our platforms is like these are two guys just trying to help. Like they just want to talk and help. Like that's, if we can have that at the end of next year, this channel will be a success in any sort of way. If people are like, these guys are just helping, I'll be happy. I will go to the deathbed happy.
What is you said this channel will be a success next year. Let's put into words what that might look like for us. I think you kind of just did, but maybe we can rephrase it.
Oh yes. Let me remove this screen so that we're both here.
There we go.
All right, you give an example to run this off.
So like a really easy one would be like, it's a binary, like, did we hit 100,000 subscribers or not? I'm not saying that's what I think would be a success. But that's an example. I could put in, if I put it in my own words, I would say due to how I'm motivated, I really want to use numbers. I know you're probably not going to use numbers, but
no. Oh, okay. I enjoy numbers to a degree. Like numbers show movement. So like if we get to the end of the year and we have 100,000, I'm like, okay,
we're doing something right.
There has been some type of value added that these people at 100,000 people are like, we want to listen to what these guys have to say.
Mm-hmm. My first idea was like, and we've talked about this before off pod. I think it'd be really cool to have a community that is more focused on SEO experiments. So I've shared a tweet about this, and I think I made a rant about it before that. A lot of people in the SEO space are like, these are the top people in SEO, and we pick everything from them, and then now they are my philosophy. As opposed to being like, I'm going to start 10 different websites. This one's going to do a test. This one's going to do another test. And I'm actually going to test what all these SEO experts say. And I think it'd be really cool to build a community of SEO experimenters that actually, like, maybe it's a private community and maybe that's a way we monetize in the future or something. Maybe it's public, but some form of a community where we share experiments that we're doing with other people who are also running SEO experiments so that we can learn from them and they can learn from us. And that's like, maybe that's like a selfish thing, because it'd be really cool to learn from other people that are running experiments. But I've also ran some experiments that I'm really excited to share. And for me, like, it's hard to put a number on that. Like maybe a community of 100 people, it'd be really easy to put up a Discord link and get 100 people. Maybe it's a community of 100 people who share one experiment a month. I think for me as a success, I think that'd be, and while we still enjoy doing these podcasts. So like the podcasts are the meat and potatoes, and then that's where we find our success if people liked our meat and potatoes. That's me like spitballing on this, like on the spot. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I do agree with that. My only thing is I've even just the like 6 email subscribers we have, it's like sometimes like how do we build up that community where they still feel like there's effort given to them? Because like I'm kind of wishy-washy with the channel at the moment. Like we have our set weekly podcast minus
Yeah,
but like the rest is just like we'll make a video when we make a video. It's like how do we set that expectation of like we're building a community now? Like do we set it as hey, these are our friends, like we all just wanted to test together? The expectation isn't there for us like, oh, these guys haven't commented in a week. Like do we build up a community where other people are talking where it's like, oh, we actually haven't noticed that they were gone?
that makes sense. And like accountability.
Yeah.
I see. So are you wanting to do something a little more passive or something like 6 months from now where there's a little less, like if you wanted to step away and work on this project really hard, you could do so?
No, I think I'm thinking the framework of right now, of like where I'm
Oh,
at
yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
I'm thinking like the end of 2023.
Oh, then yeah, I could see that being a thing because my site should be growing and at least a little bit more automated with someone helping, or it might still just be me. We'll see.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Have you heard back from Azoic?
I got disapproved again.
Really? It was quicker this time.
Yeah, I think the automated one did this one. They didn't get sent to site review.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we're working on leads, which that could be a whole conversation once we start that.
Hopefully that's a win for 2023. Hopefully our year-end review in 2023, you're saying leads did really well.
Let's hope. That is the goal. I can't tell you what type of leads I'll be selling, but I will be purchasing. Or I mean, we'll be selling some. But it's been great. I just want to, if people are watching at the 32-minute mark, I want to thank everybody, or thanks. I want to thank everyone for watching. Like you guys have made this fun. You have made this enjoyable. Like knowing people listen and are experiencing some of the same things that we're experiencing, but they've been really respectful in how they've approached questions with us.
Yeah, and we read all the comments.
Yeah, this week's been a little rough, so if there's been some comments not answered, we've both been out of it. But like
it's really good knowing that there's other like people ask us questions and then we're like, hadn't thought about that. Like at least me when I'm like reading a question and answer it. So it's like really cool to know there's other people out there with the same questions that we have, and that we're in a position to like reply and like connect with them.
Yeah, I think something I struggle with is having the like all in mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So like breaking up things in my mind is a little difficult sometimes. So like 3 different sites, like I struggle with that because I'm like, no, all in here, all in here, all like very like straight and narrow. And sometimes I struggle with talking with some of the people in the comment section because I almost feel like they're my friends. And I put the same mentality of like, I need to be very intentional with them and have multiple conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And like, sometimes I struggle with like having that mental energy or making sure like there's enough behind it to like commit those multiple conversations.
That makes sense. You shouldn't feel obligated to do that.
No, and yeah, like I said, that's
but
something
I
I
understand.
struggle with.
Yeah.
Like they're putting their time out there to talk to us, and I'm like, I'm trying to like find the mental like time to talk to 60 people.
Yeah, that's also something that I struggled with growing the second YouTube channel was like scaling that. In fact, I'll even say the assistant, although I don't like using the word assistant, the person that I've hired to help run the second YouTube channel, they still sign off as Dash Theodore. And so they'll tell me conversations. They'll be like, hey, here's a conversation I had in case anyone asks. And so that's like, now that we're at the size that we're at, I'm like, should I start having her sign off as her so that it's not like miscommunication? Because in the beginning, she was signing off as me because it was like she'd let me know all the stuff, and it was like then she'd ask me a question and I'd answer it and then she'd reply, and so it was as if she was answering from me. But now she has the freedom to make some decisions, and so I'm like, is it the point that now she needs to start answering off as her name instead of my name, and then put like under her like assistant or something like that? So that's something that I like. Scaling that one-to-one interaction is kind of something that I struggled with as well, scaling the second YouTube channel.
How's that been? Has it been better? because I would feel rough at first, which you grow, of course, but I
So
would feel rough at beginning.
I have for that second YouTube channel, I actually have a wins and losses document that fits perfect into this episode, and I can run through them really quick with you. Um, I can go through the wins first because it's shorter. I made a lot of losses, but hopefully this year is better. So the first win is hiring a VA and again, assistant, virtual assistant to answer all my emails. So when I launched that first product, it was like there was like multiple days in a row that all I did was answer emails. And I think I've told this story before. It's like I just got burnt out of answering emails. Like I can't continue creating content if I'm answering emails. And so I started, I'm not even really sure how I like just set her up to like start answering emails. And I was like, if you have any questions, ask me. And then she asked me a bunch like day one and then day two, they were like basically the same questions. And she already knew the answers. And so day one was like training. And then day two, she was like off to the races. And but day two, I was like, holy moly, I should have done this a while ago. Like not even just with answering emails. There's other stuff I should have outsourced like this. In term I've got a note here like customer support, refunds, upgrades, other like really common questions that just come in all the time. And it's like if each email is 3 minutes and you've got 100 emails, that's 300 minutes, which is like 6 hours or 5 hours, which eats up your time and your mental energy. If you answer a couple emails, like you're like if you answer 20 emails, like you're gone. It's hard to like do something else with your right after that.
Could you automate that with machine learning where it automatically responds
You
in a
definitely
way?
can. However, I've not wanted to do that because if the mistakes are costly.
Mm.
So like I guess I have her like logged into my Teachable as well. So if she wants to, she can like unenroll someone, she can upgrade them and all that.
Mm.
And so I probably could set up an AI process to do that. Maybe even like 6 months from now, there's Zapier or something like that. But it scares me a little bit because I think it still needs some touches. But maybe that's a limiting belief I've got to get over. Another win that I thought I did really well. Technically, this was late last year, not this year, was that I went on a membership model instead of a one-time payment. So I sold a digital product, and instead of selling it for like a one-time bulk payment and then being done and over with, this time I did a membership model, and that's because like the content was like always changing, especially in the niche it in. Like there's always new things to learn, and so by having it at a membership model, I can tell you the price. It was $29 a month, and so if you get one person to pay $29 a month, the churn rate is like the next month they'll probably also pay $29 a month, and then the next. And so the two good things that really helped with that was like when I first launched it, a lot of people signed up, and so obviously I made a decent amount of money. And if I had made that same amount of money but 5 times, like I wouldn't. It would have been so much money that I would not have been the person that was needed to manage that money. And so by setting up the membership model, I was able to grow as I made more money and I learned how to manage it better, which we'll get into the mistakes in a minute. um, the other side of that is like having it monthly. I'm also able to predict my income a lot more. So like even this Black Friday thing, I think was like $250,000 that I made. I would have rather have had that spread out among months, and been able to predict it a little bit more than just like all at once, not knowing if I was going to make 100,000 or if I was going to make 1 million. And so that's what I did really well with this was I set up a membership model instead of a one-time payment. There's definitely like courses probably should be one-time payments, but if you position them as a membership of something, then you can charge a recurring model. And it's also it's easier if the payment price is lower. It's easier to get the sale than to ask for a $200, $300, $500 payment. So that's another win that I just wanted to share. Another win that I got was in that membership, instead of me producing content for it, like really technical content, I actually paid someone else to create content for that while I was still working on the YouTube channel. And we can actually get into this in a minute. You were mentioning like it's really hard to focus on a bunch of stuff. And I realized that as well. When I first hired that one person as an assistant, I was like, what else can I outsource? And so I was like, oh, the content creation inside this membership, if I pay someone to do that monthly, then I can still work on what I've been doing well. And I don't have to try to do both of these things, because I did try to do both of them for like a month or two. And I was like, I'm losing my mind creating all this stuff. And then some stuff wasn't up to par what people wanted. So I just hired someone. I hired them temporarily, technically, to produce stuff as like the months went on, so that there was also a reason to stay in the membership model. Another win was the pre-sale, which was like the boot camp that I launched officially launched last month. The pre-selling it was a big win over like putting it together and then seeing if people wanted it. And then the last win was when so people that there was actually two payment options. One was a monthly option and the other was yearly. And the yearly option, if they bought that, they got a phone call with me. And I consider that a win because I got to meet a lot of really interesting people. I got to learn what their pain points were. And I just really, in the beginning, I really enjoyed talking to a bunch of people. At the end, there was a lot of like, kind of like with the emails where there's a lot of the similar questions. And I'm like, after 6 months, I'm like, I'm saying the same stuff just to different people. And I'm sure that they appreciate it, but I'm kind of getting burned out a little bit. But still, those conversations were considered a win. If you want, I can go over some losses now too.
Yeah, I'm all ears.
So the first one I have is that I agreed to too many sponsorships on the channel. And I know that this was a loss because I started getting comments about being bought out or selling out. And that really hurt me because I was like, I worked so hard to build up this brand with a good reputation. And so I knew that I would like agreed to too many sponsorships when I started getting those comments. And then also at the end, I did like 4 sponsored videos in a row. And like at the end of it, I just wasn't excited about that last sponsored, like just creating the video. I was like, I've already signed the contract. I got to make this video. I just wasn't excited about it. One of the sponsorships was $15,000. So it was like, it was hard, like moving forward, like it was looking back, it was really hard to like say no to that. Like it was such a large amount of money at the time to me. It's 15 grand is still a large amount of money to me. I shouldn't negate that, but like the loss is that I said yes to too many sponsorships. And I am looking back at that and saying that is still a difficult, like if I was presented with that opportunity again, I probably would also take the $15,000 sponsorship because it's so hard to say no to such a large like payment. Another loss that I did was when I was growing the email list, I gave out $1,000 a week. So we did like a weekly newsletter. And to get people interested in reading, I'd be like, we'll just give out $1,000 every email. You have to answer questions about the specific email, like what's in the newsletter. And I consider that a loss because we did it for a long time. And then eventually we found out there were some people that signed up to the email list like 10 times. And then when the email was sent out, they just apply 10 times. And so they started like farming, that is what we called it. And so that was a loss. Like I paid it was like $4,000 a month to try to keep growing the email list. And it worked. People really liked the email list, but people started abusing that $1,000 a week. I think I said $1,000 a month. It's technically, it was $1,000 a week, so $4,000 a month. And that was just, I could have spent that money on like another person creating content technically. You got a question?
No, I was just thinking about, man, humans were a bunch of savages.
Savages? What brought that up?
I was thinking about it the other day, and you were saying that they were just taking advantage of like what you were trying to do is like people do that so often. We just take advantage of things. Like us as creatures, like kind of disgusting in a sense.
That could actually tie in really well with my next loss, which is like I hired someone that looked to be good, and then they ended up. It's hard to say without revealing the niche, but they stole a decent amount of money, and you are right. Like they tried so hard to look like a good community member. Like they worked their way up the Discord ladder in our community, and then just like took advantage of that reputation. So you're right. And especially when money's involved, it attracts a lot of people that don't have the best intentions.
That's sad.
It is sad. That's actually, speaking of Discord, that's another loss. I spent a lot of money trying to work on the Discord to make it a very welcoming place and like beneficial to everyone that joined as part of the community. Like that's what I wanted one of the selling points to be. And I still consider that a loss. Like I've paid a few people to try to manage the Discord and to grow it and do community events and stuff like that. And I don't know particularly what it is, but it just didn't work out well. So I'm considering it a loss, and it may just be that I didn't hire the right people or the right, what do they call it? A community manager, or that I just didn't have the right picker. The assistant that I keep talking about, she's kind of doing that full time now, and she does a great job. But the community still doesn't have a feeling of like you want to log in every day and see what other people have posted. It's just like a resource that people go to. What are some other? I spent some money on tools. Like I tried to develop a SaaS or two, and those didn't work out well. What else? Oh, I did dubbing in other languages. So I dubbed a bunch of. I started wanting to go into other languages because the original channel was doing well, and I actually have the numbers pulled up here. So Spanish, I spent $13,500 to get dubbed to Spanish, 12,000, basically another 13 grand to translate to Russian, around 2,000 to French, and then 2,500 for Portuguese. So it's like $25,000, maybe $30,000, dubbing all these videos. And there's only 2 channels of those are monetized. One of them makes $10 a month, and the other makes $15 a month. So Mr. Beast is doing it well, but it did not work well for me. I spent like 25 grand and I'm getting like $25 a month out of it. And the channels just aren't growing. So I don't know if it's like I listened to the dubs and I had people check the dubs to make sure like they're actually translated right and they sound good. And they didn't work too well. That's something that I needed to do a little bit better, or maybe it's just the algorithm. Another loss that I did this year, which was a win in the previous year, was collaborations. So specifically on YouTube, I did some collaborations with other YouTubers, and they just didn't do as well as they did back in like 2016 or 2017. So I don't know if that was in terms of how I did the collaborations or who I did them with, or just maybe collaborations don't do as well with the algorithm. Back in 2016, you could do a collaboration with someone, tell them to go check out the channel, and the video would do really well. And this last year it didn't do that well. So I think that wraps up my losses, at least on on this particular project. Did any of those shock you, like in terms of wins and losses, or were they like kind of
just
expected?
the people taking advantage? For some reason, that's hit like a soft spot in me. The last this last couple weeks, I've been at the point where like maybe it's the personal side in me, but like seeing like there's something going on with the Arctic where they're trying to drill more resources out of it, and I'm like, why are we trying to take more resources out of another place? Like, why can't we try to be better instead of taking more? Like, maybe it's just the humanitarian side of me that I've suddenly developed, that I'm just like, guys, we are screwing a lot of stuff up, and it's because we're a bunch of jerk bags.
Yeah,
like just people just want more, and I think that's been I think that'd be a win and a loss for you, like understanding that, but also a loss of like seeing that. Like that is sad to see, and it's a loss to see, but it is a win to know that it's out there and like how to be better about it.
that's actually really interesting. I was listening to an audiobook. It was actually yesterday morning, so it's crazy that you mentioned it now. And they were talking about how it's okay. It was a book. I forget even what it was about. I probably could look it up, but it was about it was like the science of getting rich or something like that. And they talked about like a lot of people, they'd be like, I'll be happy when I get my first million. And then the dude works his butt off until he's like 45 and he gets his first million. And then he's like, a year goes by and he's like, I think I'll be happy with 5 million. And then the rest of the story goes on and it's like, he died somewhere in his 4th million. And it's like, I think I'm at a point now to where financially we're like good. Like we have at least a year of emergency fund, I think is what they call it. And so I'm like not necessarily chasing the next dollar, but I need to like start transitioning to like that. We're like put that in my mindset for good, like in terms of like content plans and stuff like that. I guess what I'm saying is like there for a while I did struggle. Like I'm very numbers oriented, and I struggled that like the number just needed to keep going up. And now it's like we're good. How can we share? Like, how can I use the resources that I have obtained to actually not just sit in a bank account, but like provide? Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Are you meaning like trying to find a different personal value in money, or are you talking about how you're accumulating it?
Well, necessarily like not just making my like month goal of trying to make my net worth go up more. Like, what else can I focus on? And maybe that's just because I'm super numbers oriented, and that's a number I can look at to see if it went up or down.
Oh, I see what you mean. So like in my example, like I'm very content. I'm happy with like I have a beautiful wife. I have a beautiful home.
Nico,
Like
you were content. You've been in what I would call some pretty rough places, and you were content. And I've always been like a little jealous of that.
it's a little rough on some sides, but like what pushes me is like, and we've talked about like the more personal side. It's like I'm motivated being like I did more this week. Like I'm becoming more of the person I know I can be. Like
Hmm.
that's what motivates me. And like you have that side of the spectrum, I have this side of the spectrum where I'm
Yeah,
like, man, I need to look at some numbers because I'm not focusing on making the money. But I trust that me shooting for my personal goals will get me to where I need to be.
yeah, I agree most of the time.
But I try to have a little bit of a healthy balance or a little bit more to the other side. But I do understand that as like you were motivated by that numbered goal. And now that you've hit the number goal, are you motivated by a higher number goal? Or are you like, I'm happy? Like, how can we find a different value to chase? Like, what is that different value? So that different value for me is like, I posted an article every single day for 365 days. Like, I hit that goal. That
Yeah.
goal makes me sleep amazing at night. Like, I could have my wife, I could have that goal, and everything's where it needs to be. And then next year I'd be like, okay, I hit that goal. Like, I don't need that goal anymore because I know I did that. Now my goal is I've learned how to outsource that. Like, I've learned how to become the person that can not negate, to delegate and create those opportunities so that other people have that opportunity to succeed or
Hmm.
hit that goal. So, like, what your million is to you is my goal to me, and then my second goal to your second million.
That makes sense.
So I'm interested to see how your thought process changes on that, or like what starts motivating you.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on some of it. Like the pet website, I'm not as motivated
1
as
second. I think something just fell. I don't know what the heck that was.
got
Keep
someone
going.
breaking into your house.
Maybe.
I heard it too. Like I heard it through the microphone.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck? Keep going. Sorry.
Um, what was I talking about? We're talking about different
Numerical
goals.
goals.
Oh, the pet
That
website that I have. Like I'm at now that I'm at this point to where like other projects are providing financial stability. This pet website, I'm like, I think you've inspired it in me a little bit too. Like it'd be really cool to turn it into an actual brand that like one day people are saying they bought something from it, like physical products. Like that motivates me to work on that pet website. So maybe it's like slowly shifting
and
because
look,
the other one
TJ,
was like
you're
definitely money.
motivating me on numbers. I'm like, gotta make the money.
Yeah, this year I have a I don't know if I want to call it a fear. This year was my best year yet, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat it next year. Like I don't even know if I'm going to be able to beat half of it. So I got to like have a good plan for and also maybe I don't want to beat it next year. Maybe I don't even want to beat half of it. Maybe that's not my strategy, but this year we dug ourselves. I don't want to say dug ourselves, but we were definitely in debt when we started 2022, and now we're not in debt, and we're doing. I was just.
Would
I think
you
my net worth is
say?
like. What's that?
Would you say? Because you were talking about you don't know if you're going to beat it, or you don't know if you're going to hit half of it. Would you say the person you're looking to be at the end of next year maybe doesn't need to beat that, or finds a different way to beat it than the person you are this year?
That's a good point. Yeah. So if we look at what changes this year over next, like maybe it's not that the number is higher. I would much rather, and this definitely now that I'm digging into it, like this definitely motivates me more. I would much rather like I look back at where I was this time last year and I did not know how to like have an assistant answer emails for me or how to hire someone to create premium content inside of a membership. And there's things that I'm doing now that like next year if I can have and just have those skills, I'll be happy if I make half as much. Like paid advertising, I do not have that figured out. Even if the paid advertising brings in like not I don't make as much money, but I learn how to like at least get it profitable, I'll be really happy with that. Or if the like the pet website gets to where people are saying like I hear my mom say that she ordered I'll just say dog food from my pet website, like that'll be super cool.
Or they come to my site and they're like, "Oh, I got help with this." or I found this service.
Yeah, my sister.
Yeah, don't even start talking about it.
All right. All right.
No, like I said, as you can see, my more personal side comes out when I talk about those types of things. But I will also say there is positives to chasing those numbers because they are concrete and you can see data out of it and you can see progression.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you do still got to survive. So like, there is that part of you that has to make money. Like, you still got, like, my wife still needs heat at night. Like, she still needs food. Like, those are things that have to still be a priority. But I think we'll really branch out in our relationship one, that those are things that when you chase them in the wrong way or they're too set, that hinder things that also make you happy.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, like
also can provide you security in life.
like I've actually got a couple more things we can talk about. We're 55 minutes in, but I would love to wrap these into this episode.
Yeah. And this
So,
all
like,
goes into blogs, guys. This is a blog.
yeah, building an online business with a blog. So like with us moving to a new city, like in 2 weeks,
You're moving to our city.
yeah, we're gonna have like more expenses that we currently do not have, and already our run rate, our monthly expenses are already they feel a little high. So like, yeah, we've got a car payment, we've already got health insurance, which is like 1,500 a month. Um, we've got like obviously like gas, water, electric. Um, we don't have a mortgage, but when we move to an apartment, like we're not selling the house, so now we have rent added on top of that, and then also daycare, which daycare is I can't imagine having multiple children and sending them to daycare without like getting a bulk pricing or something. 'Cause I think our daycare is like 1,300 a month. So if you got like 3 kids, that really adds up. But anyways, just making the switch to the city, like we're probably going to be close to $8,000 to $10,000 a month just for living expenses. Half of that's like health insurance, rent, and daycare. And so the rest of it is like we're assuming like we still got the car payment. I think there's a few other things like monthly subscriptions. These are personal, as not business like expenses. These are so hopefully we can get that number down. But it like I guess what I'm saying is like I'm looking at where we are now and what those numbers are compared to I don't know if you remember, it was like 4 years ago when like we basically lived in the same place and like
Expense for like $500.
yeah, like 4 grand a month was like you're balling. It's so crazy to see like
You adjust to your income.
yeah,
Would you say that?
yeah, like lifestyle inflation is definitely a thing. And I think that maybe that's something I want to do better next year as well, moving into 2023. Like I worked really hard these last couple months to track like where our money went, like Walmart, groceries, fast food, and stuff like that. So if we can at least get those numbers like not super high, I think I'll be happy.
I like it. I
But
like it, Theodore.
I was just thinking about like in terms of being single and no having no kids compared to like now both of us are married and I've got a kid. Like it's crazy how much not necessarily priorities, but like your monthly run rate of like how much you need just to like break even changes. Like actually you're probably not too bad now that you're what do they call it? Double income, no kids, a dink.
Nah, it's been pretty good. We've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Our rent, we're in the city, so the rent's not the cheapest thing in the world.
You have good rent for in the city though.
I've looked at other cities around us, like
It's
around the
bad.
US. Where we're at is really cheap for rent. But
And you're it's a safe place too. Like you're not in like a bad part
I'm
of town.
comfortable. But now where you're going, I'm just playing.
It'll be fine. I'm not
I'm
going in
just
these sketchy places.
I'm just playing. And that I think that'll be a good conversation for our next podcast as well, is priorities with your blog and your business. Is like you can build your blog and you can build your business, but like what you need to understand what your priorities are. And that's the same thing that comes into relationships. Like you have a kid, you have a wife, like you can spend 12 hours a day building this blog, but like when you're about to die, or you can be like,
I
I'm
wish I
happy
spent
I
more
did
time with
that.
my kid. Yeah.
Yeah, or like I wish I learned how to still build this while spending time with my kid.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the relationships podcast, which we'll get into.
That would have been a really good intro.
Yeah,
That quote that you just said.
So, but guys, it's been good. Like I said, we're coming to the end. Thank you guys for the good year we've had. we've had a heck of a time. We've loved this. It's been a ton of fun.
It's been
And
a
it's
good year.
growing. It's growing. We've been happy to help other people in some sort of way. You guys have given us tons of great feedback. It's starting to feel like a community. As you can tell, the production scale is getting a little bit better each time. Probably
It's
about
slowly
20 more
improving.
videos, we might have a background, even though it takes
Yes.
like 2 minutes to make one. Maybe
Oh yeah, the custom
intros.
stuff all around here.
Yeah, maybe a music intro. Do DoubleCommaDreams.
Oh, with that
Or
AI generated poem
oh,
or that AI generated song.
yeah, we could. But yeah, just thank you guys. It's been good. We've enjoyed what this process has been, and I think next year is going to be really good for us. I'm excited to see what the next year brings. Do you hear the sirens right now?
Yeah, hopefully that's not.
As we said, it's safe. No, our apartment complex is right across from a nursing home, and their inflow outflow rate is wild. I don't know how they keep that place packed because they got a lot of people going out. A lot of people going out.
I hope they're okay.
Like the first couple nights we stayed here, I was like, man, that's sad. Like so many people are getting hurt there or dying, and I'm just like, oh, it's another ambulance.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for everything. TJ, if you have any outgoing comments, you can.
Yeah,
put them
Nico, I want to thank you for sticking with this podcast. That sounded weird, but thank you for doing this podcast with me. Like, it's been a pleasure just talking to you, chatting about SEO and stuff I'm learning, and you've shared some stuff that you've learned. And thank you for mostly consistent. Like, other than like being sick. Actually, I was sick for a few. There was a period in time where I postponed a couple because I was sick. But thank you for being a friend that isn't just a high school friend that we hung around and then we're like trying to keep the relationship alive. Like we're both interested in the same thing, and I just appreciate that friendship.
Yeah, I appreciate your friendship, Theodore. It's been like 13 years now, so hopefully we've got past that point. Another thing for another podcast we could do potentially is setting yourself up around your blog for success. So though you might publish all the right articles or you might put around the time, you might not have outward security for that to be built. So like, are you actually motivated by a relationship? Like I'm motivated by a relationship given my childhood. So like me being married, like I can be more consistent now. Or like maybe you can't afford to eat. Like not in like any bad ways, but like do you have those outside securities to help you grow in your blog?
Yeah.
Or like should you focus on those first and then build it?
That'll be a good podcast episode. Is next episode going to be about the relationships and boundaries and expectations and stuff?
Yeah.
I think that'll be a good episode. We hyped it up last time.
Yeah, and how we navigate our relationships and our marriage and fatherhood with the blog.
Oh yeah.
So it'll be
I'm
good.
excited.
Well, we hit an hour. Thank you guys. We're gonna head out. We're gonna prepare for the new year. So you guys have a great day. Thank you for watching. Subscribe.
We'll see you later.